Chapter 9!
Already? Wow.
Already, we're on a page 141 of 226.
After we were bullied by our last guest about not offering proper back support during videos, as if that's been like an important part of broadcasting for the last 70 years, we decided to switch things up and actually sit in chairs.
Yep, we just brought in these high chairs, moved the set around. Our lighting rig is way more annoying, but that's the price you pay.
So here we go.
So here we are, reparenting ourselves by giving ourselves proper back support. Me and Tanner have been getting serious about being girl bosses today. We had a business Zoom call about an exciting upcoming project with a brand. We looked into, this is inside scoop, we looked into how we can make Zelf on the Shelf shot glasses, because we think that would be so fun. We filmed a Teal Swan video, which we uploaded on the same day. We have just been
girl bossing
seriously
hard.
girl bossing so hard. This is very unlike us.
Well, we spent some time at a cabin this weekend getting into horse girl energy, which is girl boss adjacent.
Yeah.
We're running on like 10 horsepower right now.
Nay. So yeah, this is like our wind down video after a day of hard work.
We may even check. I may check our emails today.
Oh my god. What do I remember from last episode? What happened?
Oh boy, is that the one where they exercised? It's been so long. Did we read the same thing with Jared?
I think we left them, they had been hanging out more, but then he was like, oh boy, I'm setting myself up for a huge disappointment, because she's like, we're just friends. Yeah, they did their big song in Sacrament. Chapter 9! On Monday, Brianna was too busy at work to come for dinner, but she did a drop by a little after 8:30. We went into the kitchen and had cookies and milk. There's something I need to talk to you about, she said. Sure. Thomas called me last night after I got back to my apartment. He wants to come down and see me Friday night. If he comes, he'd stay Friday night and then head back sometime Saturday afternoon. I bet you're excited to see him, I said, trying my best to hide any jealousy I was feeling. Yes, I am. It's been a while since we've been together. She paused. There's just one problem. What's that? Well, of course he could stay in a motel. Suddenly I got it. There's no reason for that. Why don't we see if he can stay here? I don't know. It's like, what? Yeah, stay in a hotel. Isn't he a lawyer?
Yeah.
Why does he have to stay with her other crush's grandparents?
Doesn't add up.
I'm sure my grandparents would be happy to put him up for the night. She nodded. I've already talked to them about it. When your grandmother called me at work to invite me to dinner, I told her Thomas was coming, and she insisted he stay with them. She paused. The thing is, I wasn't sure how you'd feel about it. Look, you and I are just friends, okay? I'll be fine with him staying here. You're sure? Absolutely. He can stay in the guest room. It's such a big house, we'll probably never even bump into each other, and even if we do, we'll get along great. I mean, we have a lot in common. We both think you're wonderful. And so it was arranged. Although I'd said Thomas and I would get along, the truth was I didn't even want to meet him. I wouldn't have, either, if he'd kept to the schedule he and Brianna had arranged for his visit. The plan was that Brianna would pick him up at the Newark airport at 7.
Begin smooching at 6:30. Make Sam watch.
From the closet. She'd drive him to the house so he could meet my grandparents and drop off his stuff. And then they'd go out to eat. By the time they got back, I'd probably be in bed. They'd be gone most of the day Saturday, and then she'd drive him to the airport to catch a night flight to Detroit. Early Friday evening, about the time his plane was scheduled to arrive, I was in the basement of one of my grandfather's apartment buildings.
Lurking.
Love this new storyline. Trying to bring order to the tenant's storage room. Just one big storage room. It was a slow process that involved asking the tenants to come, one at a time.
Whoa.
You
can tell this was written not in today's rental market.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, today I evicted 3 tenants at gunpoint.
Oh, God.
Because I raised their rent $6,000.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen John Oliver's new segment on rent or housing, whatever, brilliant, worth watching. It was a slow process that involved asking the tenants to come one at a time to the storeroom and identify their stuff, which I then tagged. At 9 o'clock, I figured Thomas had long showed up at the house and left with Brianna, so I drove home. I drove past the house slowly to make sure Brianna's car wasn't there, went around the block, and then pulled into the driveway. I had just gotten out of my car when Brianna pulled into the driveway. I was trapped. There was no way out of it. I would have to meet Thomas. He wasn't at all how I'd pictured him. Because Brianna described him as extremely bright, I thought he'd be like the bookkeeper who worked for Scrooge in Dickens' Christmas Carol. Wire rim glass. Who would assume otherwise? Obviously, wire rim glasses. No, I imagined him as a bit more of like almost like a, like a hot finance bro.
Yeah, like Wall Street kind of trim suit, slicked hair. Yeah.
Wire rim glasses like she used to wear. Somebody with no social skills. The kind of person who's stumped for a response if you ask, how's it going? Oh God, I would not like to meet Adam. He was better looking than I would have preferred, and more at ease with people. He shook my hand and told me how much he had looked forward to meeting me, adding with an almost snobbish smile, Brianna's told me a lot about you. Okay,
easier time with people that's anybody else in this literary universe. Can we just, he does something he absolutely does not want to do, cannot state or make a boundary. Just like, yeah, your boyfriend can come stay at your lawyer boyfriend can come stay at my grandparents' home, already burdened by my existence and squatting on their property.
Also, who are these fucking grandparents? Just like anyone in 24/7.
These were like a con artist's wet dream. They've just been sitting around waiting to fall into the next call.
Seriously.
Like, we'll give up anything. It's fine. Yeah, come live in our house.
So, he said with an almost snobbish smile, Brianna's told me a lot about you. She's done the same about you. Where do you work? Thomas asked. I work for my grandfather, I said. What firm? He asked. He had an annoying tendency of standing too close while he talked.
He's a close talker.
It's not a law firm. Actually, it's a lawn firm. Brianna winced. What? Thomas asked. I help my grandfather maintain some apartment buildings. Routine stuff. Leaky faucets, leaky toilets, leaky roofs. Oh, also I mow lawns. We've got a big riding mower. If you have time while you're here, drop by and I'll let you try it out. It's a beauty.
Okay, lawn firm is the best joke that Jack Wayland has offered us thus far. In my opinion.
Also, he doesn't even want to meet Thomas, but then he just immediately invites him to come ride a lawnmower with him. I'm like, he seriously has boundary issues. Oh yeah,
he's just nervously just like, oh yeah, you gotta check it out, it's really great. I'm obviously very insecure about you being a lawyer and hot. This is very difficult for me. Come ride my lawnmower. Thomas
looked confused. He looked at Brianna as if he couldn't understand why she'd spend time with a common labourer. Fascinating, he said. I mean, he's actually a computer programmer. So he's STEM, okay? He had little or no interest in me after that. He turned to Brianna again. Let's get going. While Brianna took him inside to meet my grandparents, I went around to the back of the house to wait until they were gone. There had been a big wind the night before, and there were some branches and leaves lying on the ground. I got a rake and some pruning shears from the garage and was cleaning them up when Brianna came out to talk to me. I could tell she was mad by the scowl on her face. What was that all about? What all about? She imitated me. Oh, it's not a law firm, it's a lawn firm. If you want to ride my riding lawnmower, just come by. So what part are you playing today, Adam? The lowly hired man? That's right, that's what I am. Not to me you aren't. Really? I find it interesting you never told Thomas what I do. Why is that? Ashamed to admit you're spending time with a guy who mows lawns for a living? I love how he thinks he's like cosplaying as working class, or like he somehow sees himself as working class.
Us working in the warehouse at Deseret Park.
Oh my god, you remember the warehouse day? Totally forgot about warehouse day.
I'll never forget.
Why did we have
My
to do that?
one brush with true labor has
forever
turned me away.
I can't talk to you when you're like this. You don't need to talk to me now, Brianna. Thomas is here. Why don't you go inside and hang on his every word? She shook her head and then went back inside, and a short time later the two of them left. I figured they wouldn't be back until after midnight, so at 11:15 I decided to get ready for bed so I wouldn't have to talk to Thomas. I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom when there was a knock at the bathroom door. I opened it and Thomas came in. His hair was all mussed up. Whoa! What a night! He grinned. Oh my god!
Wink.
Is he boning Sister to know?
No, they kissed somewhat passionately.
Hair gassed up, though.
Reunion makeout.
Do you really think a prophet would endorse maybe, but Jack Wayland in 2004?
A run in the hair, yeah.
He's a bad boy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she ruffled some feathers in a good way.
Oh? Oh yeah, she was all over me. I'm serious. She just couldn't get enough of me. I did manage to hold her off, but it was all I could do to get out of her apartment.
She swallowed my whole dick, all 13 inches of it.
I felt sick to my stomach. Oh, was all I could say. I put my toothbrush in the cabinet and quickly left.
Oh.
I couldn't sleep. I'm not sure what angered me the most. That Brianna would be, as Thomas said, all over him, or that he would betray his relationship with her by telling me. Some things are best left unsaid. On Saturday I woke...
He would hate Love Island.
Yeah, he would. On Saturday I woke up early so I'd get away before Thomas got up. I didn't want more details of what had gone on with him and Brianna the night before. I drove south, along the coast, playing tourist and scoping out the beaches, looking for places where I might come the next time a sunny Saturday came my way. I found a great little place called Spring Lake, a picturesque beach town on the Jersey coast. Entering the small town was like going back in time. Large, white, 3 or 4 story houses built generations ago when times were good, lined the narrow streets. So, generations ago from 2004, 50s, are we thinking?
Yeah.
Times were
Simpler
real good.
time.
Couldn't get a credit card as a woman. It's a nice time. In the middle of the town, there was pretty little...
But the economy boomed. I think that tells us something.
I think we might have encountered our first typo of the book. In the middle of the town, there was pretty little park. I think that's supposed to say there was a pretty little park.
Again, I think Jack is ahead of his time and is stretching the boundaries of the English language as we know it. A true visionary.
Or someone at Deseret Book was tuning out during this part of the proofread.
Or they were forced to do Warehouse Day and didn't
Warehouse
have
Day
time
at
to
Deseret
edit.
It was a storybook village of vacation homes, tiny shops and cafes. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention there was also a pond and a picturesque footbridge.
Also, I did assume the whole thing was a typo. Like, surely this is something that just isn't getting through.
I walked along the beach for an hour and then sat for a while on a bench in the park, watching people walking their dogs, playing frisbee, riding bikes, and enjoying the sunshine. The pace of things was so unhurried and relaxing that I promised myself to return someday. I tried not to think about Brianna and Thomas, but I couldn't get them out of my mind.
I promise I will
I
return here
solemnly
someday.
vow to Brianna, Thomas,
I give my
and the
word,
Lord Jesus.
my sacred honor. He rents his clothing in memory of our lives.
Blah, blah, blah. I bought lunch from a hot dog stand near the beach and spent some time poking around in the souvenir shops. The whole time I kept picturing Brianna and Thomas laughing together, eating lunch, holding hands, and even kissing. It was driving me nuts, and I was relieved when I got home that night to find that Thomas had left. On Sunday I went to church with my grandparents and then went home and took a nap.
Did he leave or did he came?
Brianna phoned me around 3 p.m. She told me she'd been asked to sing for a state council meeting early Sunday morning on July 7th, 2 weeks away. I'd like you to play for me. I was wondering if we could get together this evening and practice. I was still mad at her. Actually, I'll be busy the rest of the day.
I have kissing lessons.
A long pause. The whole time? Yeah, pretty much. Oh, a prolonged silence. Maybe sometime during the week then, okay? I might be busy then too. Why don't you get someone else to accompany you?
No shit, I've pulled this like within the last 2 years, easy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very busy that
Just
night.
keep saying you're busy until they eventually get the message, but then sometimes they don't get the message.
Polyamory does have its hard times.
For the next few days I managed to avoid her. I didn't return her phone calls and stayed busy. At 10:30 on Friday night, she phoned me. I hate to bother you, but I've got water leaking in my bathroom, she said. Could you come over and look at it? I couldn't turn her down for that.
I am contractually obligated by my lawn firm to attend to broken pipes. They take a Hippocratic oath of sorts.
When I arrived, she was waiting for me at the door. She led me to the bathroom and stood next to me as I looked in the cabinet under the sink. She's getting kinky.
Mm-hmm.
She's setting the scene.
Seeing what the pipes are like.
Nothing's leaking now, I said. It was. I stood up. We looked into each other's eyes. Wow, this is feeling very pornographic. Can you wait until it starts again, she asked.
What is it about Jack loving having like a counter table crouching underneath it is like He's watching Stuck in the Washing Machine, Stuck Under the Table, kind of. He's into that thing. I don't mean to
I hate that you're probably right, because I'm like, if not someone like Jack Whalen, then who?
Then who? It's
got to be someone who's like repressed in their sexuality. The idea of being stuck so it's not your fault maybe appeals to you.
Half the time I'm scrolling through porn, I'm like, who is watching this? Jack Whalen. Oof. You don't include that.
That might be a long time.
I don't watch porn. Okay. My persona doesn't watch porn. JK.
Can you wait until it starts again, she asked. That might be a long time. I know. What's going on, I asked. I've missed you. I shook my head. I find that hard to believe. I started for her door. Why do you find it hard to believe, she asked. I turned to look at her. Look, let's not play games. Thomas told me what it was like being with you. What are you talking about? Oh, get off it, Brianna. I really don't care what you two did together, but at least be honest. Yeah, I know.
Existential kink.
What did he say, she asked. You are such a hypocrite. Just tell me what he said. He said you, and I quote, were all over him. She looked shocked.
My boyfriend.
Okay, so basically we're finding out that Thomas is evil, and that's how Adam's going to end up with her.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking they probably had a less than fun time, and he lied about it.
The fact that you would say that to another man tells me that you're insecure enough that you'd lie about it either way.
I hate when Sam's worst insecurities are just reinforced by everything being true. Like, he, like, is now going to feel justified in hating this guy because the guy actually is a douche.
And he's
and
a
he
lawyer.
Never has to process him projecting and being an insecure, whiny little bee.
Such a good point, Anna.
Thank you.
She looked shocked. I can't believe Thomas said that. Why? Does it surprise you that he'd tell me? No, it surprises me because it's a downright lie. We kissed once at the door, but that's all. So why
no ruffling.
Not even. Oh, but his hair was all muffled.
It was
ruffled.
Yeah.
So why would he make up something like that? She handed me her cell phone. Let's call and find out. I handed the phone back to her. You call him. Tell him what I said, and then let me speak to him. She made the call. Thomas.
What kind of chaos
this
courting is this?
Chaos.
This is nuts.
And like just be like, oh, that's really fucked up that my partner would like make up something like that.
Also, that doesn't sound, even if they said that's like not a huge lie. It's like they kissed once and he's like, oh, she was all over. Like, I don't know. It's like in bad taste.
I see her feeling disrespected by it, and I could see if she's like really naive, then it feels like a big departure from who she thinks Thomas is.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's a very big instead of like talking to him personally and being like, hey, just because you also don't know if Sam's lying. Yeah. Sorry, Adam.
Oh yeah, I've been using the two interchangeably. It's like they should have just been like Sam the elder, Sam the younger.
Thomas, this is Brianna. I'm here talking with Adam. Did you tell him I was all over you? A long pause. Yeah, he's in my apartment. Yeah, I know it's late. Well, I'm sorry that you're upset that he's still here. Thomas, I'm upset that you would say something like that to anyone about us. Did you or did you not say that to him? A long pause while she listened to him.
Let the jury witness.
She began tapping the tabletop... Oh, sorry, I didn't get that faster. She began tapping the tabletop with her fingernails. I don't know, Thomas. What do you think would be a definition of all over me? Well, I suppose it is a possibility that it merely meant I was happy to be with you, but usually I think it has a far different meaning. They wrangled like this for another 5 minutes, and then I grabbed the phone from her. Thomas, this is Adam. What were you thinking, telling me lies about Brianna? Fuck off. Does not need to be involved.
So dumb.
A long pause while he discussed things with his lawyer, which was himself. Then, deciding that honesty might be the best policy, he said, it was just a strategy to keep you two from seeing each other again.
Oh my god.
This chapter is so many more pages.
This is a Jack Whalen strategy if I've ever heard of one.
I think I need a snack or something.
This is just the type of lawyer who would totally ruin someone's life by sneaking onto their date and putting extra foods in their cans or in their shopping cart to sabotage their relationship.
The other guy is always like that, like just really weird in the ways that he's shitty. Jack's like, what would like, a bad person be like?
Couldn't actually hatch a master plan.
12 more pages.
Oh, wow. We are marathon runners.
Crashing.
Tell them how happy you are to be filming this.
So excited. So you told me a lie about Brianna and you, just as a strategic move. I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as a lie. Just like Ekin-Su recently got Tanner on Love Island.
You're an actor!
Actress! Thomas, with all due respect, you're a total jerk. I ended the call. I turned to Brianna. He loves white knighting like this, doesn't
you're
he?
a total jerk.
How can you have anything to do with someone like that? The phone rang. Brianna picked it up and said hello, and then said to me, "It's Thomas, he wants to apologise." "To me or to you?" "To me," she said. "Sure, see you around." The next day, Brianna called. She told me Thomas had apologised for what he'd said and that he was sure he wouldn't do anything like that again. "So you're back together?" I asked. "We are." "That's just great."
Have they mentioned that he has a rat tail, or is that just something... Is that how my image is?
I think that's what Adam wishes were true, but I think he's got a nice, clean cut, rich frat boy haircut.
Just the energy he's bringing. No offense, I actually think rat tails are sick.
That's just great, I said sarcastically. "Is there a chance you can accompany me when I sing next week? I thought you were going to get someone else. I haven't been able to find anyone. Please, Adam, help me out." I didn't want to do it, but in the end I agreed to practice with her after church on Sunday. On Sunday, Brianna showed up at 2:30 in the afternoon. My grandparents said they were going to take an hour nap, then asked if we could do a few things in the kitchen. I began peeling potatoes while Brianna was putting together a salad. For a few minutes we worked in silence, then I asked...
Do you think they set a timer? Those people were like, I'm just going to nap for an hour. I'm like, I am gonna gamble with my mental health for the next week by taking a nap.
Honestly, though.
Like, this could really tank me.
God, why is that the truest thing?
Or it could give me life.
That's what Jared doesn't understand, because he's just like a fall asleep as soon as you hit the pillow person.
Oh.
And he can nap for 6 hours in the day and then sleep for 6 hours, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, yeah, one nap, my whole circadian rhythm is offset. Yeah. I'm going to be awake till 6 a.m. that night.
Or I'll happen to stay asleep for like 20 minutes and it'll be perfect.
Yeah. That's the intermittent rewards variable. It's more thrilling that way. So how are things between you and Thomas? We had a long talk last night, so things are good. You're still planning on getting married? Yeah, we are. Thomas explained what he meant by what he said to you. He just meant we were happy to see each other again. You're being gaslit, girl boss. Oh, sure, I see. It totally depends on your definition of she was all over me. He won't do it again. I still think he's a jerk. We fell silent. But after a minute or two, Brianna said, Adam, can we still see each other? What would be the point? There is no point. I just enjoy hanging out with you. You're one of the best friends I've ever had. It didn't seem entirely right, but I had missed her. So even though there was no future in it for me, I nodded. It's okay with me if we see each other, until I go. Good, thanks. A few minutes later, we started talking about sports, and I mentioned I was a big fan of the Utah Jazz. She started trashing them. So I quietly went to the sink and filled a glass with water, moved behind her, stuck my fingers in the water, and flicked some of it at her.
Wait, what did she say? She's like, I've actually partied with them at Gracie's, and they're a big bunch of dicks. They don't tip. They push your girlfriend to the ground. They try to start a fight with you, but you're only probably like 8, and they're like, hey. Was that what she said, or...?
Implied. She turned to look at me. Excuse me, but did you just throw water on me? They love throwing shit at each other.
Oh, yeah.
It's in every book. That's right. You got a problem with that? I did it again, this time in her face. She got a determined look on her face and said, All right, no more sister nice guy. She turned to the sink, filled a glass with water, and began stalking me around the kitchen. I backed away. Brianna, you need to think this through. I'm sure my grandmother wouldn't appreciate you getting water all over the house. She looked chastened for a moment. Water fight?
He's acting like Charlie. He's embracing it so sad.
Oh my god, Tanner!
That was half joking, half
I
real.
Tell the emotion in your eyes. I was like, I think he might actually be crying.
I think a little bit. I've been writing my Charlie Auntie fanfic, and it's really brought things close to the surface.
He's acting like real Mum 1.
Yeah.
She looked chastened for a moment and lowered the glass. You're right, she said, but she probably wouldn't mind my getting it all over you. With that, she sprang at me and she drenched the front of my shirt. Oh, is that the way it's going to be? You are in so much trouble right now. I stepped into the laundry area and got a bucket, then took it to the sink and began filling it with water. This is the guy that just, like, takes things way too far. They're doing little flips.
He's the
giant bucket.
Everything everywhere all at once. Now is the surfboard. Tidal wave.
I turned toward Brianna. Her eyes got big and she backed away from me, holding her hands up in front of her. No, Adam, this is a Sunday. What do we do on a Sunday?
Did I say everything everywhere all at once, or I think you should leave?
I think you said everything everywhere all at once.
Damn it.
We have a water fight, and that is what we did. It ended outside with me chasing her around the yard with what she assumed was a full pail of water.
There is nothing that virgins love more than a water fight.
So fucking true. Our hair and clothes were wet, and we were both breathing hard when I finally cornered her, and that's why.
Sexy, sexy. Our clothes are all stuck to our bodies.
It's like you get to wear a sexy outfit, but it's not your fault.
Yep.
She flinched as I drew the bucket back, then screamed and turned away as I tossed the imaginary water at her. As soon as she realised I had fooled her, she darted for the hose, but I stepped in front of her and held out my hand. Truce? I asked. She hesitated for a moment, trying to decide if I was being sincere, then took my hand and shook it. Truce. Laughing, we plopped down on some lawn chairs. That was so much fun, she said. It's the kind of thing I hope my husband and I can do when we're married. I found it interesting she didn't mention Thomas. Instead, it was my husband. I took it as a hopeful sign. It's the kind of thing my real mum would have done, I said. Self-aware. King. Probably so. I like it when I'm more like her, I said. I like it when you are too.
We all do.
We
like
do,
that.
yeah. On Monday, Brianna invited my grandparents and me to her apartment for dinner and family home evening. Eddie and Claire, of course, loved everything.
I'm actually saving water fights for marriage so that it can keep its thrill. I don't want to just give that up for anybody.
Loved everything Brianna had done to decorate the place, and they raved about her cooking. During dinner, my grandfather asked Brianna and me if we would like to go deep-sea fishing with him on Thursday, the 4th of July. Brianna was enthused and immediately said she would love to. I also said I'd go, but I really didn't want to. It was hard for me being with Brianna when I knew there was no future in it for me. It was great doing things with her, but Thomas's shadow was always there, reminding me she was already committed to a guy I couldn't stand. On Tuesday, Brianna...
He was so rich and so hot. So good at getting out of things.
On Tuesday, Brianna phoned and asked if we could practice the song she'd be singing for State Council on Sunday. I told her I could practice with her the next night at 9:30.
She's working the singing circuit. She may have like a part-time roadshow gig ahead of her.
Oh, yeah. I didn't tell my grandparents, though, because I didn't want them to invite her to eat with us. I just wanted to practice and be done with it. The next night, it only took 20 minutes to rehearse the song. Well, you probably need to go, I said. Can we talk? What do we have to talk about? I need to ask your advice. About Thomas. Sometimes I don't understand him. And you think I do? Please, Adam, as a friend, won't you help me?
Please, Adam.
As a friend, Adam. Just as I was trying to decide how to tell her I didn't want to talk to her, a thought came into my mind. Help her out if you can. She doesn't have any family to go to. I sighed. Of course I will. We sat across the kitchen table with cookies and milk nearby. Sometimes I find it hard to talk to Thomas. How come? She thought about it.
We never sit under the table. He never stuffs food in my face, never douses me with water, never insults me. I love to be degraded.
I don't even exist. She thought about it. I'm not sure. With him, no conversation lasts more than 30 seconds. I tell him my concern and he gives me an answer. In his mind, he's ready to move on to another problem, but I feel like he still doesn't know how I feel. That must be really frustrating, I said, not vocalizing any of the quick solutions that came to my mind.
Have you ever tried dating a bisexual?
Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
I need a piece of chocolate or something.
Oh, my God. Hey, what do I gotta do to get in on that?
10. You're always in. You guys are level.
It's nice when we do marathon ones, because that means,
More plot advancement?
More plot advancement. It'll be over sooner. You got what I need. Sam is doing the classic beta scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll be your shoulder to cry on. I'll be your boyfriend who understands your emotions. Mm-hmm. I'll pretend to understand empathy. He did recently learn about the concept of listening.
But boy, is it hard.
It is very hard.
That must be really frustrating, I said, not vocalizing
Reading off of my hand.
any of the quick solutions that came to my mind. It is. I don't need him to solve all my problems. I just need him to listen to me. She paused. Like you do. I'm glad I'm doing something right. He and I have so many things we need to talk about. We need to talk about when we'd like to start a family. But when I bring up the subject, it's like he doesn't have time to discuss it. Is he planning on giving birth to your children too? I asked. She smiled. I'll ask him that the next time we talk. She put her hand on my arm. You're the nicest guy I've ever known and the best friend I've ever had. That is so sad. That is the saddest part
She
of
is
this
really
whole trilogy.
being vulnerable right now.
The nicest guy she's ever met.
Wow.
Even though he's like, there's nothing even fucking in this friendship for me, but like, whatever, I guess it's fine.
She has had a hard life.
Thanks. He just says thanks. Another thing bothers me about Thomas. He doesn't like me talking about my mum. He says, oh god, cartoon villains every time there's a competing male character. He says she's dead and that I need to get over it.
Oh my god.
It's so extreme.
You need to get over your dead mom.
That's so extreme. And but him saying that you were all over him was like a big surprise after he told you to get over your dead mum. Like there were no flags.
This is confirming everything I believed about him. He's a big old jerk.
He says it doesn't do any good talking about something that can't be changed. Maybe he's right, but I still feel a need to talk about how much I miss her.
This is character written by Kenneth Purcell.
She continued to talk about her frustrations with Thomas. I didn't have much advice for her, but she told me it had helped her just to be able to talk about it. Imagine being like, you're the best guy I've ever met. You want to date me. This guy tells me I can't even talk about my dead mum. Like, why are you staying in this? Like, what's in it for you at this point? You've clearly got a man you can relay to and be equally codependent with, so I just don't see what you're gaining out of Thomas. On Thursday, my grandfather took Brianna and me deep sea fishing. We left early in the morning and he paid for us to go on a charter boat. Brianna was the only woman. She caught 2 fish and was a big favourite with all the other men who were on board. Jack loves writing Not Like Other Girls as the main female characters.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't catch anything, but it's women that really enjoy male hobbies.
Yeah. Also, men that aren't like the other men. Derogatory.
Yeah. I didn't catch anything.
All other men are vain, rich, stupid losers who probably don't even have a testimony.
Yeah. But I did manage to get seasick in front of everyone, so it was a day I won't soon forget. By Saturday, okay, so you could have done written a funny or interesting scene about getting seasick and, how that felt, dealing with that public shame, but no, it's just no, that happened.
We did it. This is just his little journal. We're catching it all.
By Saturday, I was finally over feeling like I was pitching up and down on the deck of a boat, and just after noon, Brianna and I drove to Spring Lake, the beach town I'd discovered the day Brianna was out with Thomas. We found a place to park, then spent some time wandering through the shops and browsing in an art gallery on the main street.
He's a man of his word.
Yeah, he is.
He kept his covenant.
Sacred vow. It was a beautiful sunny day with a light breeze blowing in off the ocean, and we had really come to enjoy the beach. On the boardwalk, an elderly woman...
They say that at first they were like, we weren't fond of it at first. Kind of a nuisance, but we came around.
We were for the souvenir shops, but we've just realised. On the boardwalk, an elderly woman sat at a card table, collecting a fee from those who wanted to use the beach. We paid our money, then used the public restroom to change into swimming suits before laying out a blanket and our cooler on the beach, staking out our claim. Oh, swimwear scene.
Uh-oh.
As if you'd be going to the beach with a girl that you're just friends with.
Yeah, right.
As Brianna was sorting through our cooler, I tapped her on the head and yelled, "Last one in the water is a rotten egg." And then I ran as fast as I could and splashed into the surf before diving into the water.
And she's like, he's literally the funnest person I know.
He's the nicest man I have ever met. She ran after me but stopped short of the water. When I came to the surface, I was in pain because the water was so cold. "Come on in! The water's fine!" I gasped. The truth is, I'd lost all feeling in my legs. "It's not cold?" she asked. "Oh gosh, no, not a bit."
Is this going to be a shriveled gag or...
I truly hope so.
If Jack has the guts.
We deserve it. No, he would never
He would
reference
never.
a penis in a date. Even remembering that you have a penis while around a woman before marriage is unacceptable. She dipped her toe in, then shook her head. "It's too cold for me." "Hey, it's not bad once you get used to it." To make my point, I ducked completely under and then came up with a big frozen grin on my face. "See? It's not even cold." "If that's true, how come there's nobody else in the water?" "They were all in the water just before we came, but now they're resting."
She didn't try a toe, that's why she backed away.
"You know what? I think I'll just go back and work on my tan. You can swim if you want, though." She turned and went back to where our blanket and towels were. Once out of the water, I had to take a little walk along the beach to warm up because I didn't want Brianna to see me shivering. I think that's the closest we'll get to the...
That's it.
When I returned to the blanket, she was lying on her back working on her tan. When I sat beside her, she sat up and folded her arms across her chest. She was obviously a little self-conscious about wearing a swimming suit, though it was a one-piece and not low-cut like most girls were wearing. She's not like other girls.
And with a nice skirt to cover her kneecaps the way God intended.
And the veil.
And the veil. Oh my God, can I have another one?
Even so, I felt uneasy looking at her. After all, Brianna and I had met while serving as missionaries, so this was a pretty big jump.
You bet your bottom dollar it is.
How was your swim? She asked. Great, you should try it. Nice try, Adam. What are you talking about? The water's really cold, isn't it? You were just trying to con me into getting wet, weren't you? Absolutely not. You think I deliberately tried to trick you?
This whole thing is a con to get you wet.
The con within the con.
Thing.
That's what I think, alright? We were sitting next to each other, loving the teasing and being teased.
to tease and be teased.
That's the title of the episode. Before eating our lunch, we decided to take a walk on the beach. Neither of us had worked on our tans that summer. With the exception of my arms and face, I was almost ghostly white. I imagined him ghostly white, didn't you?
That went without saying.
Brianna wasn't much better. We were both afraid of getting burned, so we each put on a t-shirt. With the waves rolling in, the warm sun and the light breeze, it was perfect. We had fun following the retreating waves as they flowed back into the ocean, then racing to avoid getting wet as a new wave would break onto the sand. We ended up walking a long way, enjoying the sounds and smells of the sea and stopping once in a while to examine broken shells or skip smooth rocks on the water. On the way back to our spot, I reached for Brianna's hand and she gave it to me. That was nice. You're just holding hands on the beach and claiming that this is friendship. In Mormonism.
No way. That would count. You could get disciplined.
Truly.
If you're married holding someone else's hand, you're facing a disciplinary
In a
court.
swimsuit?
Yeah.
We saw some children playing catch with a big plastic ball. We stopped and watched. Just for fun, I began to give a play-by-play sports radio description of the game. Look at that! That is the best catch I've seen all day, I shouted in my radio voice. That's the best you could come up with.
A huge turn-on for the ladies.
The kids loved it that an adult would make a big deal out of their game. On our way back to our home on the beach, that is, our blanket and towels and cooler, Brianna said, "That was nice what you did for those kids."
They looked like orphans or something. You really cheered them up.
I think it's what my first mum would have done. I keep wanting to be more like her. We know!
She's like, you mean we can talk about our dead moms together? That's fine with you?
I'm allowed?
No.
You're... Oh, God.
She's like, not you.
It's a me thing. I'm going through something, okay? You're plenty amazing already, Brianna said. You don't need to change. How can you say that? Because it's true. The truth is, I don't know what I want to do with my life, I admitted. You'll find out, and when you do, it'll be good. You're not likely to waste your life on things that don't matter. As we walked, we talked about everything. Things from our childhood and high school years we'd never told anyone else about. I love being here with you, I said. I've got an idea. Let's just stay forever. We'll sleep in the car at night and spend our days at the beach. Because I'm such a good guy, I'll give you the back seat so you won't have to contend with the steering wheel. And where will we take showers?
You're gonna cohabitate. Cohabitate.
And where will we take showers?
Separately, obviously.
You just take over while I eat this piece.
Yeah, I got you. Oh, whoa. We'll use the public changing rooms. I happen to like the showers in the men's dressing room. I'm sure the women's are just as nice. That's a little more public than I'd prefer. We'll go early in the morning then.
Really hashing out the logistics.
I can see you've got this all worked out, she said with a silly grin. Absolutely. And how will we make enough money to live? She asked. My mom was an artist, so maybe I can become one too. That ain't the way, kid.
No.
You'll never make it in this biz.
Stop where you are, babe.
Go back to the computers. So maybe I can become one too. I'll sell my paintings to people who come here every day. When's the last time you did any artwork? Listen, you don't have to be making to be a maker. You don't have to write to be a writer. It's more just about adopting the label and reaping the egoic benefits.
Relentlessly asserting it to everyone you meet.
When's the last time you did any artwork? Since I didn't want her to know I'd recently worked on sketching her face. Oh, yeah. I avoided the question. Well, let me just say that in the 9th grade, I was very good. You mean compared to other 9th graders, right? Some people have natural talent, I said. Well, maybe you're right. And even if I'm not very good, we'll sell badly done paintings to people without much artistic sense. Is that your opinion of the good citizens of New Jersey? You think people on the East Coast have worse taste than you? Yeah, right. And in the winter, we'll move to Florida.
They got terrible taste down there. They'll never know.
They'll eat him up.
Yeah.
But actually would explain the Florida man concept that came a little later. They're all Sam. Or Adam or whatever his...
Can we talk about how Jack Wayland has such a boner for, like, near homelessness?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
just, like, scarce living conditions. Really turn him on. It's his existential kink.
Yeah, I get it coming through here. I feel it. I'm doing the same thing. Also working through my resentment of hot people and rich people.
Yeah.
This is written for me.
Aww.
This is the best book.
I can take over again if you want.
Yeah, it is. I feel like I get way more of the plot when I'm reading it.
Yes, I know.
But it's easier to react in real time when I'm just listening, I think.
Yep, and you're the better bit person, so you gotta take primary bit lead.
Shotgun is a very time-honored role.
What about Thomas? If he can paint a halfway decent beach scene, he can come with us. I like that. The three of us, then. That's right, the three of us. It's the three of us most of the time anyway, isn't it?
This really was written for me, weaseling my way into a couple.
Yeah. Don't have to be the primary partner, just get to reap the benefits of the beach life.
Yeah, get invited to the beach house.
Sometimes it is.
Any couples out there want to adopt me?
We arrived back at our cooler and got out our lunch. Before we started eating, Brianna said, "We should say a blessing." People were walking by, and I felt a little self-conscious praying like that in public. But Brianna was waiting for me to take the lead.
Don't you know there's a war on Christians? We could be outed.
You're right, I'll say it, I said. I gave a short prayer, then we unwrapped our sandwiches. Do you think about him when you're with me? I asked. About Thomas? I do, but not the way you think. How do you think about him? Mostly I compare him with you. I feel like that's exactly me.
Oh, great.
And your conclusions? I asked. I'm always very happy when I'm with you. Too bad I don't have an education, isn't it? You wouldn't be more fun if you had an education. No, but I'd be more marriageable. I don't know where we got cut off, but he's talking about how his parents want him to live a cookie-cutter life. And what would be so terrible about such a plan if it exists? I don't know. You're right, I'm being too critical of her. But I just can't see majoring in information systems anymore. Fine, what do you want to major in? I don't know, I paused. I want to be more of a free spirit. She shook her head and laughed. I'm not sure you could major in that. This is all new to me. Is there any problem with a guy taking a little time to decide what he wants to do for the rest of his life?
Fast forward him actually living in a car by the beach, doing LSD all the time.
Yeah, let's hope.
Living in a van down by the river.
No problem at all, as long as it doesn't take him 20 years to make that decision. We broke out some drinks, and Brianna opened a bag of chips. Sitting next to her on the blanket, watching the waves rolling in, and enjoying the food and the sunshine made it an absolutely perfect day. It was true, I would have been happy to stay there all summer. Brianna must have felt the same way. This has been such a great day, she said. Thank you, Adam. I'm not bad for summer fill-in, am I? Of course, I know you're just counting the days until Thomas gets the official seal of approval by passing the bar exam, and then you two can get married and spend the rest of your life litigating together. She gave me an irritated glance. Here's a little advice I learned from law school. Don't voice opinions on topics you're totally ignorant about.
Is that the kind of advice they give you in law school?
Also, haven't you been, like, complaining about Thomas a bunch to to Adam recently? So she's like, you don't know shit, but then she's also like, you're the one I can confide in the most, and you're the nicest guy I've ever met.
As a Mormon teen, Jack knows what he's doing. This is, like, teenager level stuff.
Totally. Well, thank you very much. I'll write that down when I get home. I'm sure it'll be useful. I mean, after all, I've never been to law school.
Okay, Jack, it's obviously he hasn't been to law school. He sounds like Charlie Day every time he talks about, well, the litigation, the court will let it observe that.
It's a mean thing to say, and Brianna looked as though she might cry and turned away from me. You had to ruin it, didn't you? She asked. Ruin what? Our day at the beach.
Can't two friends just have a platonic day at the beach without
holding
bringing their
hands
lawyer
while doing
boyfriend
long
into
walks on the
it?
beach. I was just facing reality, that's all. I'm going to move away and you're going to get married to Thomas. After a few weeks, we'll never see each other again. This was a great date, but it's only one day, and it's not a lifetime. I wish it could be. Why can't it be?
Because he hasn't passed the bar exam. He's a nobody.
She hasn't, given any, reason why she's not picking Sam.
She'll only date a lawyer for her dead mother.
Sorry, I keep saying Sam.
They've got to be a litigation station.
They already did the logo stuff. Me too. More than you'll ever know. But you know what? We're not going there, okay? I started to gather up our things and preparing to leave. Can we stay here a little longer, she asked. No. Our day at the beach is over, Brianna. Let's just go home. A few minutes later, we had packed up, changed back into regular clothes, and were on the road again. We didn't speak for the first few minutes. Finally, she broke the silence. Do you actually think that the only reason I'm thinking of marrying Thomas is because he'll have a law degree? Maybe it's not the only reason, but it is one of the reasons, isn't it? She shrugged. I don't know. It's okay. It's natural you'd want someone you can talk to. I mean, someone who speaks your language. She nodded. Oh God. She nodded. Maybe so. If you and I were together and you started talking about Roe v. Wade, I'd think you were talking about a tennis match. She didn't want to, but that made her smile. See, Jack Wayland fiction is timeless in its references, always.
Oh yeah. He knows what's up and up.
When he pulled in front of her apartment, she said, Do you want to come in? Is that such a good idea? Probably not. I'll walk you to your door. We got out of the car and I carried Brianna's caller to the entry of her apartment. She turned to me. You know what? Even when we're not getting along, you're more fun than any other guy I've ever known. Another crushing blow to my heart. Thanks, I think. I set the caller down. We're friends, so it's okay if you give me a hug, she said. I took her in my arms and held her. We won't kiss though, right? I asked. Right, that wouldn't be right for us to kiss. We were hugging with the most innocent of intentions when she looked up at me, and then we kissed for the first time! Is that his first kiss?
Adulterer!
Actress! Oh my god! Cheater!
Wow. Son of Sam. I can't
Bringing
believe
it back on the last page, God. We could hear the phone in her apartment ringing through the door. She stayed in my arms. Aren't you going to get that? I asked.
What if it's Thomas? What if he's having a psychic premonition?
Why aren't you going to answer it? It's Thomas. I told him to call me at 9. If you don't answer it, he'll be worried. If I answer it and get rid of him right away, as fast as I can, will you stay? I looked at my watch. I can't stay here much longer, whether you answer it or not. Adam, we really need to talk. It's about the kissing, isn't it? Let me guess. This is the I just want to be friends talk, isn't it?
Sometimes you kiss your friends.
What do you want, Adam? For us to kiss every time we're together from now on and never talk about what it means? Is that what you want? I don't know what I want. This is getting really complicated. I know. We need to talk. I'm not ready to talk to you yet, counsellor. I have to prepare my case. Stop doing legal jargon to her. She slammed the door on her way in. We both knew what we needed. We needed to just be friends. The only problem was that for me, it was getting more and more difficult to do that. There is no fucking reason that she would be with Thomas. It doesn't even seem like there's enough of, an attachment there.
No. Thomas exists for Sam to triumph over a lawyer.
Yep. Yes!
And for Jack to probably express some of the law jokes he's built up over the years.
Yeah, he probably just likes making legal jokes. That makes sense.
Sometimes you just need an outlet, and your next book is the perfect place to put all your puns that your creative partner doesn't let you express in your videos.
So true! You could totally imagine that, Jack has, a son-in-law who's a lawyer, and Jack's always just, making comments I object! He's, Belle and Legally Blonde.
I would love to meet Jack someday, but not have him know who I am.
Yeah.
Just to maybe
what do you do?
We should go sit in on one of his classes.
Oh my god, he's, 90.
Take a pilgrimage.
I don't think he does classes, does he?
Well.
Thank you all for joining. That was a long episode. I am exhausted.
Yep. I'm gonna get some food. Okay, join us next week. Love you. Bye.
Sorry I'm like this.